As pilot in command of your own aircraft, what would you do if your throttle cable suddenly broke right after takeoff or sometime during your flight? Hi, my name's Trent Whitney, and I'm the owner-operator of Snake River Aero here in southeastern Idaho. I'm an instrument-rated commercial pilot, flight instructor, and instrument flight instructor in single-engine land airplanes, and also a flight instructor at the sport pilot level for powered parachutes. Alright, so let's check out what happened. Right here I'm on my phone texting a buddy. He sent me a picture of me taking off. He's a fellow pilot. He was headed to the school for one of his kids' events. Now I'm going to go ahead and set the aircraft up for cruise power. I'm at a good altitude. And I'm like, well, uh-oh. Reach back, grab the rear throttle. I have a dual control aircraft for flight instruction. Manipulate it. Clearly the throttle's no longer connected to the carburetors, so we've gone full power. The aircraft going to full power, that's a design by Rotax. That way you can climb up to a safe altitude and then shut the motor off for a safe landing. So now I'm going to start working the ABCs. In this particular case, I'm checking my altitude, or in this case, I'm going to climb to a safe altitude. Now, sometimes altitude's not a luxury, but you always want to be aware of what your altitude is when you have a problem. B, best place to land. In this case, I'm going to turn the aircraft around. I'm headed back to that grass strip where I first took off. But sometimes, again, if the problem happens at a low altitude, that best place to land might just be avoiding some of the obstacles that are right there in front of you. C, I'm going to now start working a checklist. And our aircraft, it's not as easy to pull a checklist out, so that's why it's important to kind of rehearse things on the ground for just about every scenario that you can think of where you might have a problem. From an engine fire to an engine out to a situation like this where the throttle cable breaks. D, declare an emergency. Now on this flight, I'm not close to any airspace that I got to notify ATC. I'm not going to be in anybody's way, and I'm actually not flying high enough here that I'm going to be a problem for any aircraft. I've also got my ForeFlight up so I can see anybody who's on ADS-B. So in this particular case, I'm going to declare the emergency with my friend. I'm going to call him on the phone, the one that was just texting me. I'll let him know that I'm having a problem, and if I don't call him right after I get on the ground, that he needs to call for emergency services, or at least come over where I'm at. I also let him know where I'm going to try to land. And then E, execute your plan. Alright, so right here you can see I'm actually shutting the engine off. Got enough altitude. Now I'm going to go ahead and restart it real quick and just make sure that it is going to restart, because at this point I really only have two throttle settings, either wide open throttle with the engine running or off so that I can descend. Now at any time in this descent, if it's not stable or I misjudged it, I can restart the engine and give myself a little bit of push. But fortunately for me in this one, I timed it pretty well. I'm actually experienced paraglider pilot and paramotor pilot for the last 4 years, so I'm a pretty good judge of gliding in. Although I will say that our powered parachutes do not glide anything close to a paraglider. Our glide ratio is like between 3 and 4 to 1. So as I come down here on final approach, I'm thinking about how I can use the potential energy stored in the aircraft. And that potential energy is based on your position. So since I have altitude, I have energy in the aircraft. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to make a couple of S-turns so I can get a little bit lower. And then you're going to see me, I'm going to do what's called a double flare. So about 100, 125 feet off the ground, you're going to see me add brake with both feet. That's going to slow the aircraft down in the air. It's kind of like the same as putting the flaps down. And then I'm going to release the flare so that the aircraft has to dive at the ground to gain its speed back. And then I'm going to use that potential energy that I've turned into kinetic energy, and we're going to go ahead and land the aircraft. Okay, you can always restart and go around. Here we go. Oh, perfect. All right, got down safe. No problems there. Jumping out of the aircraft, and I'm going to have a look and see what the problem is. Getting down here on the ground, you can clearly see that the cable is disconnected and completely broken. Within a few minutes of this flight, I actually called Power Chutes, and they're awesome. They are sending me an updated throttle cable so that we can get this fixed as soon as possible and I can get back in the air with my students.